So how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Cyberpunk 2077 video. Now there is a bit of a news update for you guys today, and I would have put this video up yesterday, but yesterday I had the top 10 things that you need to know about Cyberpunk go up. So if you haven't seen yesterday's video, I will leave it linked in the description at the end, so be sure to check that out as well. But today I want to go over this Reddit post that was posted 2 days ago. This information is translated from a German game magazine called GameStar, and a lot of it is for premium users only, so it's kind of locked behind a paywall. But somebody on Reddit by the name of Moraz, I think is how you pronounce it, was kind enough to translate it for everybody and post it up on the subreddit. And there's quite a bit of interesting information in this post. The closer we get to the game's release, the more information we kind of find out from the developers. So let's go over some of the major points that was translated. One of the big points is that the developers said that the improvements in level design are as big as they were from Witcher 2 to Witcher 3. And what this is referring to is, if you guys have played both The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3, they made some pretty vast improvements from the way that The Witcher 2 was designed to the huge open world environments and stuff to Witcher 3. And they're basically just making the comparison, meaning that this is going to be a massive jump when it comes to the design of different environments and stuff. Basically saying that this game's going to be huge. And then another point that they made in regards to The Witcher 3 is that they said that there will be no such thing as barrels from The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk with an overwhelming amount of map icons, because some of the players want to complete every single map icon available. So if you did not know, if you played The Witcher 3, The Witcher was known for having a ton of icons on the map, and I am personally one of those players that wants to complete all the icons. So it took me a couple times to play through The Witcher, because every time I would play it, I would get overwhelmed, mainly because of how many map markers there were. It was just so overwhelming when you look at the map and you see all the question marks and things that you've yet to find. And The Witcher 3 had these barrels that were just scattered throughout the entire map, which had different amounts of loot on them. And when you look at the map, there's like hundreds of them. So it was pretty overwhelming to some players. So it looks like in Cyberpunk we are not going to have anything similar to the barrels, where they just have a million different map icons and it kind of just clusters the map and makes it seem a little bit overwhelming. So I think that's a pretty good change. And then we got a ballpark idea of just how many people are actually working on this game. It says, due to the coronavirus, the devs had to work from home, and CDPR sent over 700 workstations out to the devs around the world with Cyberpunk installed. So therefore, we know that there's at least 700 plus people working on the game. So that just goes to show that, I mean, there's a lot of people that's behind this. And this game has been in development for many years now, and there's this many people working on it. I think that just goes to show that this game is in pretty good hands, and it's in a lot of hands. And then they go in a little bit further to talk about some of the different missions. You will have about 3 times that many ways to solve a mission than you did in Witcher 3. They thought to themselves, what is the dumbest thing a player could do, and how is it possible that the mission continues? And they went on to say that the only thing stopping a mission from being over is the player's death. And then they had an example where you talk to someone, get shot, and instead of fighting back, you just run away and you go and buy a hamburger, but the mission would still continue on. So I'm assuming once you start a mission, the mission is just a go and it never ends until you complete it. I don't know how that works in the environment. If you decide to run away from a mission, I don't really understand what that's going to do. I don't know how the NPCs are going to interact with each other, but I think that's pretty interesting, and I like that there's many different outcomes to different missions, and they're basically making them as foolproof as possible. And then they went on to say that they tried to improve this in The Witcher 3's DLC, and they want to improve it more in Cyberpunk. Some of the players said that in the missions where you use the Witcher site were too similar to one another, and it wasn't very interesting. So they said that they're going to try to steer away from this, and they don't want missions to seem too repetitive. So I'd imagine that they're probably going to use the scanners and stuff for the cyberware for the more important missions. That way you don't see repeats of the same side quest over and over and over. Now next up is a pretty huge deal. This can potentially be pretty massive, and this might change the way that we look at NPCs in video games going forward from now on in RPGs. It says, while there are some areas in The Witcher 3 where villagers don't have a daily routine, they are planning to improve this with giving more than 1,000 NPCs a handmade routine. So this basically means that that the NPCs in the city will have daily lives. When you walk around the streets, they will all have set paths that they will take. So I would imagine if you just chose an NPC to follow around the city, they would probably have a goal. They would probably go shopping. They might go to their apartment. Who knows? But the fact that they're taking their time to give over 1,000 plus NPCs their own unique walk patterns to make the city feel more alive, I think is really, really cool. I've always been curious as to what the NPCs do in Grand Theft Auto, and a lot of them just sort of walk back and forth and don't really have a goal. So if this works the way that it sounds, I'm super excited for this, and I just can't wait to see what the NPCs actually do. Now, the next bit of information is in regards to the development process. It says, according to a dev working on the quest design, they have no rules about how a quest has to be. For example, they don't have any rules saying do not let you move more than 1,000 meters and the mission will fail. You have to talk to a certain amount of people. They only have one rule, and if it's good, they just keep expanding on it and implementing it. They said when they fully finished a quest, they do not put them aside and work on the next one. They continue playing it over and over until the game releases, because they might find something to fix or improve. That's what they did with The Witcher 3, and that's what they're doing with Cyberpunk. So I think that this is a great approach. It's always good to keep playing the game and looking for improvements. If they play the quest 5, 10, 15, 100 times, and they have different people playing and testing and trying out different ideas, you're going to find problems, you're going to find exploits. And I think this is going to help get rid of that cookie cutter, copy paste, side missions all feeling very similar to each other feeling. So that's reassuring to know that most of the side quests are probably going to feel pretty unique from one another. With them testing every single quest multiple times, and them testing all the different ways that you can possibly complete a mission, and they're trying to make it as foolproof as possible, I think some of these side missions are going to be very, very fun. Then they went on to say that the melee fight system shown in the E3 trailer was not nearly what they wanted, so expect to see some big improvements. And then this is a big one that a lot of people are talking about. It says, inside of cyberspace, you will be able to summon fantasy RPG-like creatures and warriors who can, for example, burn out another hacker. So I'm willing to bet that there's some sort of mini game that goes on while you're in cyberspace. There's probably some sort of battling or something. Who knows what sort of fantasy-like creatures they're speaking of. Maybe this is some sort of mini-game to sort of mirror what Gwent was in the Witcher series. Gwent was a card game in the Witcher which gave you hours and hours of extra things to do, so maybe this is like Cyberpunk's version of that. We'll just have to wait to see what more information comes out on this here in the future. But that is going to do it for all the major bits of information that I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Does any of this stuff pique your interest? What are you guys looking forward to the most in Cyberpunk? Then if you guys are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more Cyberpunk news and just more gaming news in general. I will be covering all the new gaming events here in the next couple of weeks, so there will be tons of new videos. Be sure to drop a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to follow me on Twitch at SwanyPlaysGames Live and join the channel's Discord. All those links are found in the description down below, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.